Hello, succulent friends of Las Vegas. Today we're here to continue the tips series on how to have a successful succulent section in Las Vegas. And we're going to be looking at tip number 4 today, which is, this is a good one, choosing a growing medium that works for your succulents and you. If there's something I know a lot about, it isn't just, okay, I'm still learning a lot about succulents, but I definitely know a lot about relationships. And boy, do I got advice for you. Relationships are all about giving and taking. Whether it be with a man and a woman, or a man and a man, or a woman and a woman, or plant and woman.
Or plant and woman. These are
So just like a relationship, it's all about what two people can bring to the table. And sometimes in relationships, you gotta compromise. I'm talking about this because it really matters when it comes to taking care of succulents. It matters what works for not just your succulents, but for you as the caretaker as well. So long story short, me and my plants, me and my succulents, we got our own compromise. And that compromise is to make our relationship work through its growing medium. What's a growing medium, you ask? Well, a growing medium is basically the stuff that your plants, your succulent plants grow in. This dude, he's like, so like the soil and the perlite and the wood chips and the, I don't know if you guys use pumice or whatever else things. I'm brain farting hard as fuck today. And so that's what a growing medium is. So basically what I do is I create a medium that retains a little bit more water than people might regularly put with their succulents. And there's a reason for this, a very important reason, okay? And here it is. I do that because, one, yes, they're drought-tolerant plants, but they still need regular waterings, which brings me to my next point, which is the second point. I am a severe underwaterer. Like, that's the kind of, like, watering I do, like, yikes. That's just me. And my plants know this, and we make it work. Okay. So basically, the mix that I created, the medium that I created for my plants, make it so that they're happy and I'm happy as a succulent caretaker, right? Because one, I don't have to become unlazy. Sounds so bad. I don't have to become unlazy and start watering more. And then two, my succulents will still get the water that they need from the soil up until the next time that I water, which I don't know when it'll be, but you know, they're doing fucking great because both of our needs are met. So how can you make a succulent soil mix that works for you in Las Vegas? Here are 3 things to consider when creating a soil mix that works for your succulents and you. Number 1, you gotta determine the kind of waterer you are. Plant waterer, not just waterer, like what. This is important because it'll help you determine which pot type and which soil type will work for you and your succulents. This takes being objective. You have to really be honest with yourself and realize what you're doing. Don't blame the plant. You gotta see what you're doing or not doing. So yeah. Next, When you determine the kind of waterer that you are, you can ask yourself whether you're willing to adjust for the plant's needs or not. And if not, that's okay, because then we can just move on to the next the next point. It's harder to say to be honest, this is completely random tangent, but the only reason why I'm an underwater is because I've personally experienced and understand the heartbreak of having a plant die from overwatering when it was completely preventable. Where on the other hand, if you underwater, it's like your plant has definitely less chance of dying quickly. Like it'll it'll die a slower death, but it'll be easier to bring it back. So I'm over here trying to defend myself hard as fuck. Okay, so that was number one. And number two, the second thing to ask yourself before creating your medium is, are my succulents going to be indoors or outdoors? And this matters because if they're going to be inside, that's awesome. But if they're outside, you're definitely going to want to create a soil mix that retains a lot more water, especially during summer. Because that shit's going to evaporate super fast. Just like... Anyways, this is the third thing for things to consider when choosing or creating your own soil mix, which you don't have to. You can completely just buy mixed soil. But these are just things to consider. Anyways, you don't have to do shit, I say. So 3, after thinking of the kind of waterer that you are, and then after asking yourself whether your succulents are going to be indoors or outdoors, or you can have them both, like, why not? Then the third thing to do now is the actual thing. To ask yourself, what kind of succulent soil mix do I want for my plant? Because when you know the kind of water that you are, and when you know the environment that it's in, you'll know what kind of mix to really make for it, the succulents, your babies. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the different kinds of things that you can find in a growing medium. You can find dirt, you can find rocks, you can find pebbles, you can find wood chips, you can find like composted leaves, you can find worm castings, which is worm poop, which is my favorite. You can find perlite, which is like aeration thing. You can find all different kinds of things, right? There's so many different kinds of things that you can grow your succulents in. And they each play a really important part to keeping your succulent healthy. So like things like sand, rocks, and perlite help with aeration and help provide oxygen to the roots of the succulent, which they need. I don't know why. It's probably some scientific reason that I can't explain. So things like dirt, wood, and mulch, I think that's what they call it, helps retain moisture. And sometimes it helps improve drainage, at least with the mulch and the wood chip part. But it just depends on how you use it. Okay, now we're gonna look at all the things that we've considered and tie them all in together. So here are even more quick tips to consider when creating or thinking about creating your own soil mix. So if you're an underwaterer like me, then you're gonna want to make a soil mix that retains enough water for until the next time that you water. But you're not gonna want to make it so waterlogged to the point where you make it root rot. Does that make sense? You gotta find that balance. For underwaterers, you're gonna want to make sure that you provide the things of aeration, like the perlite and the wood chips and the stuff that lets the dirt breathe so that your roots can breathe, or your succulents' roots can breathe. So yes, if you're an underwaterer like me, you're gonna want to create a soil mix that retains more water. And then if you're an underwaterer, or if you're an overwaterer, then you're gonna want to make sure that water doesn't stay in that mix too hard, especially when it comes to succulents. That's like the quickest death that they can have. You know why it's important to consider that stuff? If your plants are outside, then there are going to be a lot more things to look out for when it comes to taking care of your succulent. And when you have the right medium, when you have the right growing medium, it makes succulent care a lot easier and probably a lot more successful so that your plants can grow thick and thrive. And of course, in regards to the outdoor care, it always depends on the season. Yes. To end this video, wow, kind of short today. That's okay. It's important to consider your succulents needs, because everyone knows that succulents need well-draining well-draining soil. But in my opinion, you know, you're important too. You're the one taking care of it. When you have a lot of plants, you just kind of want to make life as, you know, simple and easy as possible so that you can continue to enjoy the fruits of your labor and so that you can continue to, you know, have a fun time with your plants. And that's all I got for you guys today. Thanks so much for watching, you guys. Thank you guys for subscribing. You guys can comment in the comment section if you guys want. Maybe I just don't have big enough following yet, but I appreciate all your guys' engagements, all the likes and stuff. And yeah, thanks so much for being here and hanging out. See you guys in the next tip, which is tip number 5, which is, this is a good one. Knowing the care difference between indoor and outdoor succulent care, especially in regards to the seasons out here. All right, so thanks for hanging out. I know I have a lot to say about succulents. Bye. Thanks. Bye.